Welcome to Partnering with Parents. I'm Ashley Carroll, one of the MLTI ambassadors. Ambassadors are distinguished educators who've stepped out of their classroom for 2 years to provide professional development across the state before returning to their classroom. This slideshow was made in collaboration with Gwyneth McGuire, another one of our MLTI ambassadors. To access today's slideshow, please use the tiny URL. It is case sensitive, so make sure all of your letters are capital back here. Before we begin our slideshow, we're going to have a couple of housekeeping slides to take care of. So our first one is our upcoming student conference. We wanted to make sure you knew that it's happening May 22nd at the University of Maine in Orono. And if you're looking for more information, check out this QR code. The student conference is an opportunity for students across the state of Maine to come together to do some digital learning and create some cool projects. We hope to see you there. Also, this recording is part of the March 14th Professional Development Day from the DOE. We've put together a notes document for you to access all of the slideshows in one place. If you only wish to view them, please use the QR code or the tiny URL on the left-hand side. But if you wish to take notes under the slideshow, use the one on the right. The one on the right will bring you to a page where you'll see a purple button that says use this template, and it will make your own copy for you to edit and take notes underneath each slideshow. So today we're here talking about partnering with parents, which I know is a big topic for every educator out there. When we're talking about this, we're focusing on a technology lens, but this can be applied in a more global situation as well. As we know, technology is here to stay. The World Economic Forum estimates that 65% of children today will end up in careers that don't even exist yet. We've watched technology accelerate at a massive rate over the last few years, and it's only going to continue to grow and learn and change. And our students are going to need to grow and learn and change alongside it. With technology comes a lot of benefits, but also a lot of challenges. Take about 30 seconds to stop and think, what are the benefits and what are the challenges of technology in your life, both in school and your personal? Now that you've stopped to think about that, some of the benefits are that you can communicate with loved ones far away. There are new careers being offered almost daily. There's access to information we never would have had before. We have an opportunity to broadcast ourselves and find entertainment from people we wouldn't have before. There are new learning tools. We're connected to a global world, and you could learn almost anything online. Those challenges are still there, though, like monitoring the use of technology at home and school. We're seeing a growing tech addiction. There's the concern of inappropriate content alongside online predators or bullying, and violence coming off of internet trends. There's also those challenges and trends that can cause some issues. And the big concern we hear from a lot of parents is that there's too much access at an early age, and they're not quite sure how to navigate that. With all of these benefits and challenges, we just want you to know not all screen time is created equal. Sometimes we're using screens for entertainment, and sometimes we're using them for learning. Sometimes we're using them alone, and others we're using them together. But not all screen time is equal. There's three big types of screen time: passive, interactive, and creative. So we're going to check out each of them. Passive screen time is consuming content. So it's kind of that mindless watching and scrolling. A lot of it happens on autopilot. So think of like Facebook Reels or YouTube Shorts. That's a passive moment. You're just sitting there watching the videos. It's not requiring much out of you. Interactive is when we're viewing or playing media together. We're doing some learning or some problem solving. We might be video chatting with someone far away. This is one where you are viewing the media, but you're doing something with it, or you're playing a game that requires your input, or you're having a conversation about it. Creative is when you're making content. So you're creating, designing, editing, coding, you could be videos, all kinds of different things that allow us to really stretch our brains and design something new. While kids can learn from watching and interacting, the passive and the interactive, the most benefit is when they're engaging with media to create, and especially when they're engaging with media either with their teachers or their families. So, thinking about our classroom, we use expectations every day, not only around technology. We use expectations for how students enter and leave spaces, for where materials are used and stored. The idea of expectations around technology is something we also need to be deliberate about. Make sure that you have clear expectations and you're modeling how the technology is used in your room. This can be a challenge for students because every room has slightly different expectations. So as students move from classroom to classroom, they need to make sure that they have strong expectations that have been modeled, discussed, and are revisited often. These expectations can also be used to partner with our parents at home and help them build upon our expectations to create their own that work for their family. When you're using these expectations, think about nurturing technology and executive functioning skills. A technology balanced classroom has clear rules, but they have modes for different types of work. Those rules might be different for discussions and lectures during independent study time or partner work or group work. There will be times where there are no screens, and there will be times when we are all on screens. The expectations always are going to look a little different, and we need to help students navigate this. So let's take a look at a technology classroom. Technology classrooms really examine three different things as they're choosing what is in their classroom. They look at purposeful, meaningful, and creative use. So let's start with purposeful. Purposeful use of technology is a balance between tech and non-tech use. Technology shouldn't replace meaningful non-technology activities because you're always going to have a need for face-to-face discussion, hands-on creativity and building, writing and journaling, and many other analog classroom activities that are beneficial for our students. So when we're being purposeful in our technology classroom, we're making sure to think, is the technology beneficial or is it detracting from our learning environment? Take advantage of tools that provide differentiation and accessibility options in your purposeful use. Think about the ways your device can make learning more accessible, like text to speech, or font adjustments, or keyboard instead of handwriting for students who might have OT issues. Focus on resisting distractions as we implement technology and think about what distractions students might get stuck on as they're doing their work. Make sure the technology is helping us work towards our goals and looking at critical and higher level thinking. Meaningful technology is being intentional about that use. So think not only are you purposeful, you're choosing it for a deliberate purpose, but you're choosing apps and activities that require us to collaborate either within the classroom or with an external expert maybe. You're using technology that challenges and grabs the interest of students, and it's really being used to empower them. Thinking about those 21st century skills and the 4 C's of them, you're using technology that provides an opportunity for communication, like sharing their ideas and thoughts to questions and solutions. Collaboration, they're working with someone else to reach a goal. So that could be an outside expert or someone within the classroom they're collaborating with. They're looking at their critical thinking. So they're looking at problems in new ways and trying to find different solutions. And the chosen technology will provide just the right level of challenge and opportunities for students to really stretch their skills. That last one, creative, is the 4th C of those 24th century skills. So it's using an application of technology that really sparks and enhances their creativity, that allows students to develop and grow higher order thinking skills where they can innovate and invent. And that way they can generate meaningful artifacts that really show off their thinking and their understanding of your content while allowing them to build something new and foster some more creativity than just your average everyday activities. So thinking about purposeful and meaningful and creative technology in your classroom, we would like you to pause the video here for 2 to 3 minutes and jot some notes for yourself. What would purposeful use of technology look like? What about meaningful use of technology? And where are you using it to allow students to be creative? Pause the video and come back to us after you've jotted these notes. All right, now that you've jotted those notes, we're going to start transforming what we do in our classroom into that parent connection so we can really partner with them. So we're going to be moving into something called a well-balanced tech meal. This is an idea from Common Sense Media, down here at the bottom is the link, about balancing our plate just like we would for a healthy diet with all of the things that we wish to accomplish within our day. So the next few slides are from a parent presentation that Common Sense Media has created. They allow teachers to use and edit these presentations freely. They're a fantastic resource, and we're going to go over them a little more later on. But right now, we're going to start talking about these ideal meals of media and tech. So our first step is M for modeling. Through their actions, grown-ups indirectly teach children how technology can be used. We can't always be perfect because we are human, but we do try our best. So do your best to model healthy tech use by taking care of your devices or keeping the television off when no one is watching, by using only one device at a time. If you're anything like me, quite often your phone will buzz as you're watching something and suddenly you're sucked into your phone and not paying attention to your show instead. Try to catch yourself in those moments and model for your students or for your kids at home. Oh, I picked up my phone and I got lost in the moment and I'm going to put my phone away. These little verbal things are just a way for students to connect with, like, oh, mom's catching herself or dad's catching himself, and this is something that we're not going to do. Think about screens before bedtime or in the bathroom and how we should not be doing either of those things, and putting our phones away or silencing them during family time. So I'm going to pause for a moment and I'm going to have you reflect on where you are struggling with modeling healthy technology use. And there's no shame or judgment in this. Everyone is struggling. Technology use is something we're all adapting to, adults and children, and we're all going to have moments where we're just not doing our best with it. When you're using this slideshow to present to parents, if you choose to use it, another way you could describe modeling to them is having them narrate what they're doing. Like, mommy is checking the grocery list on her phone, or let's see what library books we could reserve on my phone. Having them talk about what they're doing on their device with their child is one way for them to model examples. And this slideshow really focuses on having the adults think about their use first and then how that trickles down to their kids. It's a really powerful slideshow. So let's go through the rest of meals where I'll do the presentation and then we'll discuss it a little behind the scenes again. So the next part is E for engage. Using technology to bond. Warm, supportive interactions are critical in the early years. If you're able to co-view and co-play with your child when using media and technology, they'll love sharing the experience with you. When you can't watch or play with them, follow up with questions about the show or game at dinner or bedtime. Kids really do love sharing about their media use. On this side, the Common Sense Media has parents thinking about what are other ways to engage with their child while using technology. So having them think about moments where maybe they can't do something together, but they could talk about it afterward. Like when mom is making dinner, if a child is playing a game at dinner time, ask about what happened in the game. What stories were they doing? Were they building anything? Having those conversations about what they're watching, pausing videos together or TV shows and asking students what they think they're going to do next. All of these are different ways that we can encourage our parents to make sure that media is not controlling their lives and their children's lives, are different ways that we can help them make those connections. A is for adjust. Not all screens are created equal. It's not about screen time, it's about screen quality. Just as you have to choose what type of food to eat depending on the time of day or the situation you're in, it's important to adjust what movies, apps, and games that your child is using based on content, context, and their specific needs. Ask yourself, is this high quality content? Check out ratings and reviews, which Common Sense Media is great for. When and where are they watching? Don't let media interfere with their sleep or their meal times, and try not to use it as a distraction or to calm them down. How does media make your child feel? Does it help them with their development? Some things to think about are how you can adjust the use of media and tech at home. So this slide is about encouraging parents to think about the different types of media, like we discussed before, of passive, interactive, and creative. This is a moment where I would honestly pull that slide from a different slideshow of Common Sense Media in here and really go over it with parents about how there are different options and different types, because I worry a lot of our parents view media and technology as just screen time, just it's all the same, but it's really not, depending on what our students and their kids are doing. And so we want to make sure that as we're presenting to parents, we get them to really think about what do they want their kids to consume. You know, there's so much out there that's freely available, and when do we want them to consume it? And so a lot of the Common Sense Media is really just enabling parents to understand that they get to make these choices, and sometimes it's even just letting them know that these choices are available, that these are a choice to make and not just let happen. L is for limit. Set limits early and apply rules consistently. As kids get older, have them help come up with your family rules. Kids are more likely to follow the rules if they help create them. Have clear expectations about when kids watch television, play video games, or play on the phone and tablet. For example, maybe dinner prep is one of those times. Be clear and consistent about what they can do during that time and for how long they can do it. Set limits on what types of content kids can watch or play. Are there specific channels or apps that are okay for them? Are there others that are off limits? Go to commonsensemedia.org if you're looking for ratings and reviews of the best TV shows, apps, and games, and that will help you make these decisions. Also, don't forget to create some tech-free zones. Set rules that fit your family, like no devices during dinner, or all screens off at least an hour before bedtime, and make room and set expectations for flexibility. Family priorities will shift from day to day, and we all know emergencies happen. Don't worry if your limits are stretched or changed for a day based on your situation. Remember, children need to balance their screen use time with active play, reading, and other activities that we all know are good for child development. So think about what are best practices for your family. Well, really hard for parents. And the last time we presented this at Westbrook, we had a mom come up at the end of the day, at the end of the presentation, and ask questions about enforcing limits and struggling with that. And she's not alone. I think there are a ton of parents who really struggle with setting limits and then enforcing limits and then the behavior that may come around technology limits, especially. And we need to make sure that we are connecting these parents with each other, because they're all in this battle together. We're all in this battle together as teachers too. We know that technology is built to be addictive, and it's built to keep us in the technology. And so helping children move away from the technology in those moments is challenging. And we need to make sure that the parents that we are trying to partner with are not feeling like they're isolated or the only one facing it, and that they understand that there are resources out there, and providing opportunities for these parents to connect with each other and have some communication about how hard the technology addiction and limits and use can be for everybody. All right, our last part of meals is S for share and support. Just like we're sharing best practices with each other now, make sure that you talk with the other grown-ups in your child's life, friends, relatives, neighbors, about the rules and expectations for family media and technology use. And make sure you support each other, being patient even on the days when those rules go out the door. So our next slide is an overview of all the different parts of meals. And this is a great handout to send home with your parents so they could put it on the fridge and remind themselves and remind their students about the different ways that we use media. And it's a great way for conversations, to encourage conversations to happen at home. If you're hosting a parent night, most often you are not encouraging the kids and students to come sit through it as well. So this is something parents can take home and start a conversation with their family as well. So thinking about how we create an ideal tech meal is an activity that goes along with this. So Common Sense Media has built a wheel, like a dinner plate, and like you think of nutrition, you think about what you want to fit into your family's day. So what activities would you want your students to do? When they come home, they might need to finish homework. They might need to do chores. You might want them to get some outside time or connect with a friend. So it suggests a whole bunch of various activities that you might want on your child's plate or your family's plate. And some have technology and some do not. And so on this next slide, this purple one down here will have you make a copy of the meals plate activity, and then you'll be able to fill it in. So let's click on that link. I'm going to hit use template for new design on that link. And then I've got my plate right here. We've put in 6 different slices. You might want more, you might want less. That's totally okay, but we want you to stop and actually do this for your own family for a second, or for your own self. So all you need to do is go over onto the left-hand side to add a text box, and then you can always make it bigger if it's too small, and move that over. And what is one thing that is on your family's plate during the day? So I have chores. I might have some time where I want to connect with family members who are far away, so I might have video chat. So pause this video and spend 5 to 10 minutes thinking about what are the big priorities on your plate. And if you need to, go back into our slideshow where we've got all of these different ideas from Common Sense Media. So go ahead and pause, spend 5 to 10 minutes filling your own plate. All right, so you filled your plate, and now we're going to start talking about how do we bring all of this home. So we've talked about technology in our classroom. We've talked about a presentation that's available through Common Sense Media, where I did a little bit of a demonstration and a talk about it. But how do we bring this home? The biggest resource that I want to plug is that Common Sense Media or Common Sense Education. When you first go to it, you'll need to register or sign in. It is completely free for teachers, but it has fantastic things on it. So there's this digital citizenship spot over here that has grade level lessons, posters, toolkits, games. It's got everything from 5-minute discussion activities to full lessons with activities and printables and handouts about all of the digital citizenship stuff and all of the use around media. Then over here is family resources. That's where you're going to be finding different ways to engage your families, like workshops or presentations or handouts you can send home that prompt discussions. There are so many good tools. So let's look at a few of them. For meals, like we just talked about, you have the handout that has the acronym, but they also have a handout that has 3 different ways that you can bring meals home. So this would be great to use at the end of your presentation to have your families reflect about what has resonated with them, what are they going to practice at home with their kids, what have they learned. And then if you have time at the end of your presentation, you could even have participants share with each other if they feel comfortable. They also have flyers like this, which talk about supporting digital well-being with visuals and words for both readers or non-reader students. They have a ton of videos. I'm not going to play a video for you, but please check them out. And they've got a couple different types. So they've got videos about families and building those connections on media and tech. So this video talks about co-using or co-watching and how you can bring questioning and discussion into media that you might normally just passively consume. And then they have videos like this, which are talking about student use, and they have students talking about technology themselves that they've recorded, so students can watch other students grapple with the same things they are. There's a ton of family resources like Expectations or Family Tech Planner. We've got media lists and parenting tips that you might want to refer families to if they're looking for resources. And these are all things that Common Sense is okay for you to share widely and use and edit and really have it fit your needs with your families. So schools could share this over their social media. You could email it to a parent who is coming to you with questions or looking for some support. So there's a lot of fantastic things on there. There are also discussion questions that parents can use if they're not sure what to talk about when co-presenting or co-watching media. And so there's just an abundance of resources that hopefully will be able to support our parents to the best of our ability. So as we're talking about this and thinking about it, you might be wondering, what are other districts doing to partner with parents about this hard topic? Because it's really not easy to present all of these concerns and to make sure that parents have the resources they need. So we've got Cape Elizabeth, who's been having some parent discussions. You can see they had a bunch of parents come in here. This was about cell phone use and policy and really thinking about how cell phones are affecting learning. Gorham had some family information nights where they presented some information and they offered childcare and food. Yarmouth had been reading a book and had their author come in and visit. Westbrook had us come in. MLTI ambassadors are happy to partner with you for a parent night and go over whatever is really affecting your parents. And then they also partnered that with a book study. So the parents who attended were able to sign up for a book study where the school provided the books and opportunities to come together, and they're having their author visit in April. So thinking about planning these family nights, there's a lot of things that you might need to consider, like who is going to help you run it. And a lot of times with parent nights, staff feel like they might need to be the experts if they're presenting, but no one is an expert in this. The digital world is constantly changing. Our needs are constantly changing. All of the things that we're facing are universal to everyone. So there's really no expert in how to handle technology and media. So staff just need to be able to be present and willing to share what they do and what works and what doesn't for them. Things you'll also want to consider are like, what resources will you send home? What will you advertise with? How can you present heavy topics in approachable ways? So starting with something a little more interesting and fun, and then building into something very difficult that might be a stretch and might ask some hard questions to reflect on. Could you get the kids to help create or share something for this night? I find that if the kids have had involvement in the night, the parents are much more likely to come out. And what are some of the barriers that face our parents on these parent nights? Transportation can be a huge issue for families getting to the school again. Dinner time, how can we either schedule around it, or is it possible for us to provide like pizzas or spaghetti or something to feed our families? Is there a childcare option? They may not have anyone at home to leave their kids for and may not want to bring them along for the topics. Could we provide multiple modalities? So an in-person night that gets recorded or a virtual night, some different ways for people to access the information and resources we're providing. The biggest question we get when talking about partnering with parents is, how do I get my parents in the door quite often? So that's a challenge that is universal. It's a challenge that every school is facing about parent involvement. It is not unique to you or your district. We know that everyone's lives, including our own, are insanely busy, and that we are all overwhelmed by the amount of responsibilities and draws on our time. So we need to make sure that parents are feeling comfortable and like it's worthwhile. So of course, food is a big draw for everyone to get parents in the door. I find if you can get the kids excited about the event, that they'll get their parents to school. So that might be having kids share their work, or maybe the kids have created an activity, or there's an activity for kids either before or after or during your parent night. And that way the kids are so excited about an opportunity that they force their parents to come in. Have kids make short invitations as either a video or an email and send it to their parents. Personally inviting parents, a phone call, an email directly to them at parent pickup, all kinds of different ways that you can try to make that connection. Something that I did that really seemed to get parents into my room quite often was finding time at the beginning of the school year, or even right now, to make positive connections. So like calling about a great thing their student did, about a positive moment. Our parents might have their own educational trauma that is really making them adverse to coming and interacting with the school. And so if we show that we love their kids as much as they love their kids, that gets them a little more welcoming. It gets them a little more in the door, and willing to kind of go someplace that might be wildly uncomfortable for them based on their experiences. So a lot of it is relationship building, opportunities, and those barriers. There's no magic wand. I wish I had a magic wand for you that would work to get every single parent interested in the door. But it's really about seeing what works for parents. I teach in Brunswick, so we have this wonderful tool called Reach My Teach. It helps us with translation, but it also asks parents how they want to be contacted. And so parents have the option to choose between email, text message, or WhatsApp. And so we found we have a ton more engagement just because parents are being communicated in a mode that they prefer. And I know Reach My Teach is not the only tool out there that does that. I'm sure PowerSchool and other tools that you are using have those abilities as well. But I find just asking parents what is the best way to get a hold of them. Teacher time is so limited because we all have so much on our plate that you can't really be running around to hunt down every single parent and really, trying to find the time to make all of the phone calls and the emails that we already have to do. And so trying to streamline communication is a great way to get our parents in. Advertising through multiple ways, social media, paper flyers, whatever we can, on school signs, just getting the word out, and then recruiting parents to do this work for us as well. So if you've got some parents that are heavily involved in your classroom, encourage them to reach out to other parents, to have conversations with them, to invite them into the events, to make sure that they are kind of promoting us as well. Your PTO can be a valuable one. If you send out the events to the PTO, they might be able to do some outreach as well. Just trying to make sure parents know that these opportunities exist, that we're excited to work with them, and how we communicate it is just as important. All of the examples that I shared about the other districts are very positive messaging, welcoming, non-judgmental, and we've got to make sure that we're doing that as well. So we also have some other resources for you about planning nights, shifting off screens, why your screen time matters, things that are great not only for us in the classroom, but also to send to our parents. And then if you have any questions, please reach out to us. We would love to work with you. We have a contact available for doing this work, a contact hour available for doing this work. All you need to do is type in this tiny URL, and then it will take you to a spot to fill in your name. And then last but not least, we have all of the professional development opportunities that the MLTI ambassadors are providing. We have 6 pages of examples, but we can do any topic that your district needs. All of our professional development is free. So take a look through our flyer and see if there's anything here that really is speaking to you about the needs of your staff or your team, and email us at doe-lct@maine.gov. and we'd love to partner with you. Thank you so much.